Hey guys, welcome back. I just played the Halo 1 remake for the first time mere minutes ago, and I ran back to my hotel room to film a video talking about it. You guys sent me a ton of questions about it, and I've got a lot that I want to talk about because I have not exactly been the most enthused with this game, but now I've actually had to I've got the chance to play it myself. I feel like pass judgment on more stuff than I could yesterday when I hadn't played it and just had watched videos. So you guys sent me a ton of questions on both YouTube and also on Twitter, and we're going to go through and answer some pretty burning and important questions about this interesting game. It's a very interesting game. So the first question that I've had a lot is people asking me if I've played the 3 Sergeant Jonathan missions or if I've played any of the other levels. No, I've just played the same level as everybody else, Selling Cartographer. I've not played anything else. So the first proper question is the level design the same as the original? And interestingly, at least on Selling Cartographer, yes, it was. It was the exact same, besides the tree not being there to block the warthog from getting to the hunters. I was actually quite surprised because obviously the game has sprint, and one thing I noticed about sprint is that it feels way faster than Halo Infinite sprint. If anything, the sprint in this game felt more in line with Halo 5's, which I am not a fan of, I gotta be honest. It even has those like almost anime speed lines when you sprint that were in Halo 5 and aren't in Infinite. So despite that though, the level design is literally the exact same. Like the size and the scale of the areas are the exact same as Halo 1, which I'm happy with because it means that I can turn sprint off and the game will still feel fine. And it did. Like, I didn't sprint much in it at all, and I didn't feel like the areas have been expanded to account for sprint, which is so strange given the speed of sprint in this game. There's also no slide, by the way, at least as far as I could tell, and I don't think there was any clamber as well. I think it's just sprint in this game. So, a lot of questions I got asked were, how did the guns feel? How did the enemies feel to shoot at? Was the combat fun? And I'm gonna be honest, it felt just the same as Infinite, which, to me, isn't a bad thing, but Infinite is nowhere near as satisfying as Halo 1 to me, in particular the enemy sandbox and how they feel to shoot. Like, shooting the elites in Halo 1 and seeing the shields flare up and cover their body was always so satisfying, and one of the things that I didn't like about Infinite was that the shields on the elites, you can barely see them when you shoot them, and that's carried forward into Halo 1 Remake. And at the same time, there's also hit markers in the campaign, so now it's like the visual damage feedback that you used to have of the elite's shields flaring up has basically just been replaced by a hit marker, which is far less interesting to me, far less contextual, far yet less in-universe, and just more kind of hood goo, so to speak. I really think that the elite shields need flaring up. The other enemies were pretty satisfying. Grunt's pretty good, Jackal's pretty good, Hunter's pretty satisfying, although I will say regarding the Hunters, they were weirdly easy to kill, which is ironic given the fact that they've removed the one-hit magnum kill to the back, but they feel easier to kill than Halo 1. I think I put it on normal difficulty, and it took 2 plasma grenades to drop 1 Hunter, which is probably a bit too easy, but that's the kind of like balancing stuff that they can definitely change before launch, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Oh, my legs. I'm 1 year away from 30 now, my legs are killing me. I'm gonna squat. So, another thing I noticed actually is that there were no power-ups, there were no overshields anywhere on the map. There was no overshield at the Hunters, there was no overshield at the security station when you leave it to drop down. So, I'm assuming they'll be there because it's Halo 1, and Halo 1 had power-ups in campaign, so they need to be there, but they weren't in this build. So, I don't know if they're the OG kind of cube and pyramid designs for them or not. I don't know, so no one's asked that, but I noticed it when I was playing it, so I figured I'd mention it. Are the Marine models the same ones from Combat Evolved? No, they aren't. I am not happy with this. They are literally the Halo Infinite Marines. That's it. And that's something that I think actually is my main sticking point with this game. So I wanted a Halo 1 remake for years because I was so dissatisfied with Halo 1 Anniversary, because that was not a good remaster. It was entirely unfaithful, at least in the visual design department. It was basically just, what if we put Reach assets into Halo 1? And ironically, that's basically what this game is. It's just, what if we put Halo Infinite assets into Halo 1? Which isn't like... So, the Infinite assets themselves, I like in Infinite. They work in Infinite. Like the Elite design, for example, I like it in Infinite. But this isn't Halo Infinite we're playing. We're playing a Halo 1 remake, not Halo Infinite Evolved. So I think this overuse of infinite assets just isn't tonally fitting for this game, especially when you've got developers in the roundtable saying like, we want it to be more faithful, and like even acknowledging that Halo 1 Anniversary wasn't faithful, because it wasn't. And then like cutting to a shot of an Infinite Elite being killed by an Infinite Needler in a Halo 1 remake. It's this very weird kind of dissonance between the intent with designing this game and the final product. I really truly hope that by next year when the game comes out, that these hopefully placeholder assets have been swapped for actual Halo 1 designs. I don't think they will be personally, but we'll see. But yeah, the Marines, unfortunately, are not the Halo 1 Marines, which to many, myself included, are the greatest Marine designs, because they're like directly inspired by Colonial Marines in Aliens, which, yeah, really sucks. I actually didn't even see one Marine with a green eyepiece either, which, it's Halo 1, man. Come on, they've got to be there. So, very simple question I've been asked quite a few times is, was it fun? And yeah, it was. The core gameplay, interestingly, going back to like the gameplay feel, the core movement when you're not sprinting feels very Halo. I was actually quite taken aback by it, because obviously with it being in a different engine, there's always the fears that it's not going to feel like Halo, right? And I was actually quite pleasantly surprised that the core movement and like core fluidity, I guess, did feel like Halo. It really did. It had that like Bungie era like kind of responsive floatiness, you know? Not the Halo 1 style, but like the Halo 2 and the Halo 3 style, which is perfect. Really, really good. I was quite surprised at that. But then at the same time, many of you asked me about health packs as well, because for some peculiar reason, they've done away with the health system. I'm not quite sure why they've done that, because that was, of course, a staple of Halo 1, and now it's just not in the game. You have a health bar, obviously, because like whether it's visual or whether it's visible or not, every Halo game has had that, but it just automatically recharges, like every other game besides ODST Reach and Halo 1, which I'm not a fan of. Why has that been taken away? I really don't understand. That just feels like one of the many examples of change for the sake of change, to be honest. A couple of you asked me about the HUD and the UI, so I really did not like the default HUD layout at all when they showed it off the other day, but when I played it, I went to the settings, and you can literally just change the HUD to an almost classic HUD design, with the radar on the bottom left, the weapons top right, the grenades top left, which I did immediately, and it's definitely not the best HUD, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of it, but the layout was fine then. It was perfect, exactly what I wanted. So you can literally just toggle that in the settings, which is good. Loads of you have, rightly so, asked about the blood in the game. Interestingly, the game seems to be rated M for mature, which is a huge dub. And in line with that, the blood is, I would say, almost in line with OG Halo 1. I think it's toned down a little bit, but that's only really something that us like mega hardcore fans would notice. I think most people are going to be very satisfied with the amount of blood in the game. Like, I was shooting elites and grunts on the floor after they were dead, and they were spitting out a lot of blood. I've seen some videos where it doesn't look like they are. I'm not sure if that's just a bug, but every dead body that I shot spat out pretty, like, good amounts of blood. I'm happy with that, definitely. Can you walk into the water without taking damage? You can walk like 10 feet into the water. You know how in Silent Photographer in Halo 1 you could drive like all the way out and you could almost see like the whole island in the distance? You can't do that anymore. Maybe they can change that for launch. I would hope so, because you know in older games like Halo 1, that like kind of turn of the century games, a lot of those games built cultures around pushing the boundaries of them and kind of pushing the limits of this brand new emerging technology. And obviously we're in a different era now of gaming and technology, but that kind of thing, I think, is kind of core to the identity of the game. Like, could you imagine, for example, even though this was never intentional on Bungie's part, but could you imagine if they did a Halo 2 remake, and all of a sudden, you couldn't get out on the map anymore? You couldn't jump over the rooftops of Outskirts, or you couldn't explore the hills of Delta Halo and Regret. I just think that'd chip away at the soul of the game quite a lot, even if it wasn't intentional soul. And I kind of feel like that with this. It's not a major game-breaking thing, but you know, it's always the little things that count. And it's not just the one big feature, it's the stack of small features that build a game's identity and soul. And that's just one of those little things that in isolation seems like just meaningless. But when you stack it up with the rest of the vibe of the game, it really adds to it, so I would like to see that added back. A few of you asked me if I've spoken to any developers. at the Halo World Championships about the game, and I have done. I don't know if any of the ones that I've spoken to are like in a position to do anything, to change anything, or in a role where they could do, but like I've spoken to a few, and I've been as honest with them as I have with you guys. Like, at the end of the day, like, I'm good friends with a lot of them, so it's none of it's like, you know, taken personally or anything. Like, I've just been honest with them and said, like, look, there's some things here that I really like the cutscenes. I think the cinematics, I will not stop glazing the cinematics. I think they are fucking spectacular in this game. Leaps and bounds ahead of Infinite. Awesome, and I cannot wait to see the rest of them. But on the same token, like, I was talking to a few yesterday about the Infinite assets. Like, why are there Infinite assets in this game when it's Halo 1? And other stuff as well. Like, I don't think there needs to be this sort of illusion that they don't want to speak to, like, fans who have criticism for the game, because that's definitely not the case. Like, I've had very candid conversations with multiple people about what I like and what I don't like, and there's never any, like, animosity or any shutting down or anything like that. They're always very receptive to it. So, yeah. So, a lot of you have asked me about the optimization of the game and the, quote, Unreal 5 stutter, which seems to be prevalent in many Unreal 5 games. I just want to preface what I'm about to say with the fact that the game is not finished. It's probably at least a year, if not more, out from launch. So I wouldn't put too much stock in what I'm about to say. But I will say that the game didn't feel great on the optimization front. It felt, at times, a little bit unresponsive. There was a lot of texture pop-in. In the cutscenes mostly, but I did notice it a few times in-game, a lot of texture and lighting pop in. In fact, there was even one point in the gameplay where I disabled the security controls and I'd gone back to the cartographer, and you know the hunters that spawn outside where you get picked up by Foehammer at the end? Well, they kind of just faded in. Like, they were there, but they didn't show up until I got quite close, and they sort of like cross-faded in. The optimization front doesn't seem great right now, but like I said, that's the kind of thing that, like, early on it's never going to be there. Like, the whole point with optimization is that it's done at the end when all the content is in the game, so they can account for all that content. So I really wouldn't worry about that too much right now, because, yeah, it's too early for that. Does the Master Chief have a flashlight? Yes, he does. I'm very happy to say that yes, he does. I tried it outside, and it made the noise, but it didn't work. But then I went inside, and it worked fine. So I think it's probably just bugged right now, but it's there, and it works, and it's pretty much the same as Halo 1's, I'd say. Maybe a little bit of a shorter distance, which could be a bit spotty for the library, but it works. A lot of you have asked me a very simple question, and that's whether I liked it or not. There's some stuff that I did, but were I in charge of a Halo 1 remake, this isn't how I'd do it. One of my main issues is just how unfaithful a lot of the aesthetic feels, specifically the asset flips from Infinite, because the whole point with another Halo 1 remake was the fact that Halo 1 is a game that has so much potential, especially in the modern day with modern technology and none of the limitations that Bungie had in 2001. And so for us to finally get another attempt at remaking it or remastering it, whatever, and for it to fall into the same traps as the Anniversary did with just reusing assets from a different game with a different aesthetic and different design decisions, I just don't see the point. I don't understand how you didn't learn that from Halo 1 Anniversary. The small hopium part of my brain is kind of just hoping and praying that all these Infinite assets are placeholders and that there will be Halo 1 versions of the Elites and the Jackals and the Needler and all this stuff later on, but I don't think so. I think this was a conscious decision, which I'm really not a fan of. Something really cool, actually, that I didn't expect to be in the game, but to my pleasant surprise is if you betray 2 Marines, which, yes, you can kill Marines again. I can't believe I have to say that as a good thing, but yep, you can. They've added the option back to kill Marines. If you kill 2 of them, the rest of them turn on you. They call you a traitor, and they start shooting at you, and they actually do call you a traitor. I shot 2 of them on the beach, and this one Marine turns around and goes, "He's a friggin' traitor," and just started mag-dumping me with his AR, which was pretty cool. I'm happy that's in there. I really hope that on Pillar of Autumn, we can dome Keys again, because that was always the funniest thing. I love doing that. Just, Keys gives you his Magnum, and the first thing you do is you turn around and just shoot him in the head with it. So hopefully that's an option as well, but yeah, you can kill Marines, and they will call you a traitor, and they will turn on you. how does the Magnum feel and how does it sound? Well, the Magnum feel to me is not as satisfying as Halo 1. I mean, none of the weapons feel as satisfying as Halo 1 to me in this at all. Not even close, actually. They don't feel bad, but nothing like Halo 1. Halo 1 just had the most, I said this in a video last week, like tightly designed and well curated sandbox where everything had an individual role and a unique feel to it, and that doesn't feel as present in this. And that's not necessarily a specific knock on this game, because I've felt that for a long time with Halo. To be honest, like I felt that as far back as Reach, really. Reach's sandbox, this is a different topic, but I really do not like Reach's sandbox at all. And I feel like from that point onwards, there's been a lot of problems with it, and it just doesn't seem, the weapons just aren't as satisfying to shoot as Halo 1 is, in my opinion, at least. Others will probably disagree, but Halo 1 just felt so tight and perfect, and this doesn't have that feeling. Okay, this one makes me very happy to answer. Was Chips Dubbo and Marcus Stacker there? Yes, they are there. Chips Dubbo and Marcus Stacker are actually in the game. I mean, they should be in the game, but thank God they actually are. A lot of people asked about the new weapons. As far as I'm aware, none of them are in this build. I didn't use any new weapons. I used the AR, the Magnum, the plasma pistol, the needler, the plasma rifle, and the rocket launcher. And I think that was it. The plasma rifle doesn't sound good, and this is another thing. Sorry, this video is kind of turning into half Q&A, half brutally honest thoughts. Kind of by design, I guess. But a lot of the weapons have just off sounds. Like, the Halo 1's AR is so distinct and has such identity to its sound and also its function, with it being a 60 rounder, which is a whole other problem. I don't know why they've dropped it to 32. I don't know, but the sound in particular is just boring in this, and I feel like that with a lot of the weapons. The Magnum just sounds dull. It sounds like the Halo 5 Magnum. It sounds like ironically a lighter version of the Halo 5 Magnum, which I don't really understand. Plasma rifle sounds weird. Needler sounded Rocket sounded okay, I will say the sound when you hit a hunter with a rocket was actually really good. I really liked that. But I always liked the whoosh sound of the rockets instead of the bang when you shoot them. I always liked that, because Bungie's were always like, you heard the air escaping the tubes, whereas 343s were always like, it was almost like the rocket was exploding in the tube. And I preferred the Bungie take on that for sure, but the impact sound is really good. I will say, the plasma pistol sounds fucking awesome, because it has the Bungie sound. It has the OG overcharge sound, and more than Infinite's as well, because Infinite kind of blended that with the Halo 5 one. This remake uses the actual Bungie one, and it sounds awesome. There was one point when I was playing where I just walked around holding it down for like a minute because I just wanted to listen to it. It's also really cool as well how that blends with a lot of the original like Jackal and Grunt voice lines. There's some moments in this where it really... See, this is the thing, right? There are some moments in this game where it does feel really authentic. Like, yeah, I'm walking through an area that looks very different to OG Halo 1, but I'm hearing grunts saying Halo 1 voice lines, and they're at the same time as like overcharging a plasma pistol that's making the Halo 1 sound. And I'm like drawn into this world where it's like, okay, this is Halo 1. And then I walk into a room where the Forerunner stuff looks completely different, or where like the gameplay just feels off, and it's like I'm taken out of that almost perfect modern Halo 1 world. There's a lot of dissonance with this game. A lot of weird dissonance where it's like, I can tell there have been some areas of it where the people involved with those areas have really put their foot down and have tried to be faithful. And then there's other areas where it feels like they've gone in the complete opposite direction. And I think the former is absolutely the right philosophy for something like this. Oh, a lot of you asked about the Flood. I've not played any Flood levels. I've literally, like I said at the start, I've just played Star Wars Cartographer. I've not seen anything Flood related besides that one piece of concept art and that one bit in the trailer. Nothing Flood related. I wish I had answers. Trust me, I wish I had answers. I have no answers. Were there any major changes to the soundtrack is an interesting one, because no there weren't, and that is fucking awesome. Because Halo 1 Anniversary, I thought the soundtrack was good in Halo 1 Anniversary. It was a good soundtrack in isolation, but I would never think to turn that on over the original at any point. That goes for like all of the Bungie games for me. I'm never gonna use the remastered ones, as good as they are. Like Halo 2 Anniversary has some really good remastered soundtrack pieces, really good, but I'm never gonna choose that over Halo 2's ever. And so I actually like the approach that they've gone with the soundtrack in Campaign Evolved, because they only briefly mentioned it in that dev roundtable, but I think the idea is that they've taken the OG soundtrack and instead of redoing it, they've kind of just like, I guess, touched it up. That's a very layman way of saying it, because I know fucking nothing about making music. But I think what they've done is they've just kind of like upscaled it maybe, because it sounds the same. Like, even in the menu, like I'm sat in the menu of the game waiting to play, and it has the Halo 1 menu suite with all the soundtrack pieces, including, not trace amounts, it's one of the library suite tracks, all there, sounding fucking amazing. That is exactly how you should do the soundtrack in a remade game. I am a huge fan of the approach they've taken with that. So a few of you have asked about the AI for the elites and whether it's the CAI. I don't think it is. I think it's the Reach AI. I think, which it didn't feel like Halo 1's. The way that the elites moved and strafed and interacted with not just the player but also their squad mates didn't feel like Halo 1 at all. I think it was Reach, which would make sense given the fact that they're using Reach Blam. I would assume that AI would come from that. Yeah, I again, for me, Halo 1's AI was, out of every Halo game, including like Halo 2 and Halo 3, Halo 1's AI to me was always the most interesting to fight and the most unique. And granted, I only played the game for like half an hour, so I don't know if a lot of the quirks of the AI from Halo 1 have been brought back. Like, for example, if you kill the elite in a squad, the grunts will flail their arms around and run away. I don't know if that's in the game or not. I didn't get a chance to check. I would hope that it would be, because again, that was kind of a staple of the way that enemies felt in Halo 1. But I think, don't quote me, but I think it's the Reach AI. Going back to the overall feel of the game, a lot of you guys have asked me if the game feels like Infinite and feels like basically a reskinned Infinite. And the combat does a little bit. The actual act of like shooting enemies and how they respond to being shot and how the shields flare did feel very Infinite. But a lot of the movement stuff, the sprinting in particular, and some of the animations for it, felt like Halo 5. I mean, I mentioned this earlier, but when you sprint, you get those speed lines from Halo 5, which, as far as I'm aware, aren't in Infinite. I don't think they are. And even the animations as well. Like, that's another thing. So not only is the pistol sprinting animation not the Infinite one, where it's like, I think the Infinite one is like that. It's the Halo 5 one that's like that, which I don't really care either way. But the animations for the Magnum, I'm almost certain, are, if not the exact animations, touched up animations from the Halo 5 Halo 1 Magnum rec weapon. Because I remember vividly, that weapon had a reload animation where, when there's still one in the chamber and you want to reload, it was quite stiff and quite, not janky, it didn't look bad, it just looked quite stylized and quite stiff, where you go like that, and it's almost like two blocky motions. And that animation is there, but touched up a little bit. So I'm pretty sure that it's using the animations from that rec weapon. The OG animations are there, but again, I think they're the rec weapon variants. Like the melee where you smack with the slide and then throw the Magnum up and catch it, that is definitely the Halo 5 one, because the speed of it, I remember vividly, because I used that thing a lot in Halo 5, and I remember the speed of that, the throw up and the catch was quite fast, and it feels the exact same in this. The slide pull as well, when you pull it out, that still feels like the Halo 5 one as well, which again, I don't really care about that because it's pretty close to Halo 1's. I'm not going to pick hairs over that, but it's just interesting to know because they feel like touched-up animations from that rec weapon. So again, another thing that a lot of you guys have asked me is, based on my first impressions, does the game feel better or worse than Combat Evolved Anniversary in terms of bringing Halo 1 to light in a modern vision? And I think it's around the same level for me right now, but just for, well, I was going to say for different reasons, but not really, because, again, we've said this already, but the thing with Halo 1 Anniversary was that it wasn't Halo 1, it was Halo Reach designed Halo 1. And this is just Halo Infinite designed Halo 1. I want Halo 1. I'm playing Halo 1, you know? Like, if I go to a pizza shop and I really want a Hawaiian, and I order a Hawaiian and I get a pepperoni pizza, I like pepperoni pizza, it's good. But I wanted Hawaiian. I ordered Hawaiian. And I got pepperoni. So, it's kind of how I feel about it right now. It's definitely not the direction that I would have gone in with a lot of the stuff. Many of you have asked me if you think that there's enough time before launch to have a lot of the feedback that we've got be acted on. And I will say that when you sit down to play the game, because I didn't play it in any like special location, I just went in and played it where everyone else played it. There's a sticker on the table with a QR code that you can scan that takes you to a survey where you can ask, you can fill out like a load of feedback questions about the game. So they're obviously taking feedback, but I don't know anybody working on this game. I've spoken to devs at Halo Studios about it, but none of the ones I spoke to yesterday, well, at least as far as I'm aware, are like working on it, or are working on it in a direct sense in that like they can change like the overall feel of the game or the look of the game. I don't think I've spoken to anybody who is in a position to do that, at least. So I don't know, truth be told. I'm not going to say either way with that because I don't want to get people's hopes up and I don't want to crush people's hopes. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Needless to say, there's been a lot of feedback, so I would be surprised if they didn't act on at least some of it. Oh yeah, a lot of you asked as well what I actually played it on. Whether I can't believe I'm about to say these words. Whether I played it on Xbox, PC, or PS5. Fucking hell, that's going to take a while to get used to. I think it was Xbox I played it on. It was with an Xbox controller. I couldn't see the console because it was like behind the wall, but I think it was an Xbox that I played. Oh no, I'm being a fucking idiot. Yes, it was an Xbox because I was on the dashboard. So yeah, it was an Xbox. Is this Halo in a good spot, or does it need more time to cook? It needs more time to cook. I mean, obviously the game's it's not coming out tomorrow, so it's got more time to cook, and there's time for them to hopefully change stuff based on feedback. I will say I'm really, really looking forward to those Johnson missions. Really looking forward to them because that is the precise kind of thing that I've asked for in a remake of this game for like 2.5 years. I made my first video about this early 2023, and that is exactly the kind of thing that I was hoping they'd do with this game. Hopefully we get more than just that, because I want some Zuki Zamami shit, I want some Breaking Quarantine shit, I want some Infinite Succor stuff. Like, there's so much they could do. Hopefully that's not the only like DLC or whatever they're doing, because I want more. A lot of you have asked me why I didn't get early access. Yeah, a lot of you asked me as well if I was blinded by its majesty. And like visually, yeah, I mean, dude, you are sick. I know that you right now are sick of me saying this, but I'm gonna say it again. The cinematics, besides the texture pop-in, are fucking incredible. The majesty of those cinematics blinded me. Even though it's the Infinite Elite in the tunnel with the energy sword, the animation and the sound design on that Elite when he like hits the energy sword and it makes the bungee sound effect, and then the Elite like snarls in its mandibles. Oh my god, that is so fucking good. Like, I genuinely cannot put into words how much I am in love with the cinematics in this game. Like, that's the one thing so far with this game that I am unapologetically excited for. Like, zero sort of like criticism or any kind of like negative thoughts about it. Dude, the Jenkins cutscene, oh my god, that is gonna be unfathomably good. With how good the animation was on Chief when he goes into the tunnel and he's like clearing corners, bro, that with them clearing the flood facility, oh my god, that is gonna look fucking incredible, and I cannot wait for it. And actually, on the topic of cutscenes, a lot of you have asked me whether the cutscenes are in-engine or pre-rendered, and I actually don't know. I would assume that they are in-engine because it's UE5, like, the game can look that good in-engine and not pre-rendered. But I don't know for sure. I'm guessing they'll confirm that at a later date. I may have mentioned this already, but I think I'm going to end on this point. A lot of you have asked me if it has that Halo feel, and when you're not sprinting, when you're just like moving by default, it absolutely does. Which I was taken aback by because I didn't expect that. It really does feel like core Halo movement when you're not doing anything else, like aiming down sights or anything, which I'm also not a fan of. Like, I just don't think that's necessary. I would rather have the binoculars back from Halo 2 and Halo 3. and reaching 4 as well. I kind of missed the binoculars. They were kind of useless, but just one of those little things where it's like, it's not a necessary feature, but it's a nice little bit of flair. You know, they actually could do some shit to make that a necessary feature. Like, I don't know how, but I'm sure they could figure out a mechanic with the binoculars to make them cool beyond just like a surface level, you know? But yeah, no, the game at its core, it actually does feel like Halo. Genuinely, it does. It's just a lot of the stuff, the fluff on top and the changes that didn't need to be made detract from that, I think. Oh, and also one last thing real quick. A lot of you asked me if I played the full level. I didn't. I literally just played up until Chief kicks the rock down the chasm, and that was it. End of. I didn't play any more than that. So that's where the build ends. That's just how it is, I'm afraid. So that's kind of my hybrid, brutally honest thoughts and also Q&A video. I think actually that's going to be my last video for this weekend on the remake. I'm going to make one when I get back next week. And I'm actually also trying to get one of the core designers of OG Halo 1 in a video later next week. No promises, but I'm trying to make it happen because he's had some very interesting thoughts. I mean, you guys will know Jamie Griezmann. That's Jamie Griezmann. I'm going to try and get him in a video, if possible, fingers crossed, to kind of pick his brain about this because he's had a lot of thoughts on Twitter and I kind of want to talk to him more about them. I think that would make for some good content. So, thank you for submitting the questions, I really appreciate it, and also thank you to everyone who's met me so far at Halo World Championships. Yesterday was unfathomably insane for that. Like, I've never met more of you guys in one day than yesterday. It was insane, and you are all mega chill and awesome, and it was great to see you all there. So I'm gonna round this out here and go back to the venue and actually enjoy the event now because I'm kind of done with videos for the next day and a half. So thank you all for watching, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for the questions, again, really appreciate it. And I'll catch you all in the next one.